is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from the quarantine zone again. And this time we are here with Connor and Hannah of Spirit Breaker. Thank you so much for being here. It's great to have you all here.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you here. The newest album is Cura Nata, and this is absolutely epic. Hannah, I know you're kind of like new into the band, but like for Connor, like for the making of this album, like how was the overall making of this? Was there sort of like a preconceived idea? How did Cura Nata sort of see the light of day?
Yeah, in a way. So quite a few of these songs were actually from before even I joined in 2019. Some of these are pretty old. They released their old album Human Nature and kind of immediately started writing follow-up stuff. Some of this is actually that instrumental. Lyrics happened far later. And then there was one track I had wrote and a couple others we had all collaborated on kind of last, I don't want to say last minute, but um, we realized maybe a 9 song album is a little short after the extended time we've had between releases, so we wanted to just get a few more in there.
Hmm.
But I guess really, lyrically, it all thematically tied together with Trey. But some of these songs were a little older, so
Hmm.
they were written around the same time Hello Drifter was, a single, kind of a standalone.
Yeah. Being that you both were like kind of new into the band and being that this was sort of like your first, sort of album or cycle sort of with Spirit Breaker, when you both first joined the band, were you kind of like looking at earlier material being like, okay, this is how I have to play, or were you both kind of allowed to maybe bring a little bit of your own mix into Spirit Breaker?
Um, for the writing, it's been pretty just kind of, hey, we need to write whatever you can, write it. If it's cool, use it. If not, keep it for yourself. Maybe we can get something out of it later. As for the actual playing, practicing the set or whatever, there's, I don't want to say it's super rigid, but it's to a click, it's to samples, things like that. So it's got to be fairly directed, if that makes sense. Yeah, no. As for writing, we all kind of, especially these last few years, we've all just kind of been collectively writing whatever and being like, "Hey, I wrote this," and then some of it. Sometimes we're just like, "That's cool," and then other times, we're like, "Hey, we should definitely do something with that. Keep that," you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. How about you,
but
Hannah, with like the practicing and everything like that? How much did you like exactly have to learn, and did you even have to learn like new techniques towards your instrument and everything like that?
Yeah, I really like that question. For me, I've always been around metalcore in the genre itself for a while, but I've never actually like been in a band that plays metalcore music. So my bass lines are like usually super melodic and like I'm very like into my left hand technique. And so joining this band, I was like, I need to know how to chug. Like I need to, know how to do like play really fast and stuff. And for me, like I don't use a pick. So I've been like literally like practicing like picking with my or not picking like playing with my fingers to this music, and it's been really really fun. And I think like the biggest thing that I've been learning is like more of the attack to get that kind of like metalcore sound and bass. Like you do need like different pedals and like different tones, and experimenting with that compared to my previous experience. So that's been the biggest thing I've been learning, and it's been really fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and being that I wanted to mention because you both opened up the floodgates by mentioning the term metalcore because that is the genre I grew up with. For you, like, what was your sort of gateway into the genre? Were you like both listening to bands like Killswitch Engage or Shadows Fall or As I Lay Dying, or were you listening to more like newer school bands like? When I was in high school, like the big metalcore bands were like Bless the Fall and Escape the Fate and Attack Attack. Everybody I used the shirts from that previous band to blackmail some of my old high school friends. Uh, but uh,
Mhm.
and then with or like more newer bands, even in the wake of bands like Beartooth or I Prevail or even Dance Gavin Dance. Like, what has been sort of like your gateway metalcore bands?
uh, I'll go first. For me, I fell into other forms of metal first. I guess the metalcore band that really like set it off for me, got me inspired to musically play and like write in that direction. For me, it was honestly still kind of is All That Remains.
I love All
That's a
That
big one.
Remains. They're one of my favorites.
Big one for me. Yeah, and then from there it's I like both the older stuff, you know, Kill Switch, that era, Shadows Fall, and the newer Attack Attack, that vein, post-hardcore influenced stuff, and that metalcore genre. But it I came and went through different spurts. But yeah, All That Remains is for sure a staple. Um,
I could
I
talk
mean,
about that
I
band for decades.
more often than not now I tend to listen more to the more classic stuff. Um, I guess just because now that I'm a little older, I appreciate the more the songwriting and I guess the more deeper musical aspects, the music, I guess music theory esque side. The songwriting structure is more rewarding instead of experimental in a way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, I'm not picky. I fell into All That Remains. Another one that I fell into after the Attack Attack, the 2010s. Huge into architects, huge into structures. That's kind of branching out from metalcore, but you get the point.
Yeah.
Those are three big ones for me: All That Remains, architects, structures. Counterparts, they're kind of metalcore. That's a big one for me now too.
How about you, Hannah? What's your metalcore love? And by the way, anybody who says that metalcore is a guilty pleasure, piss off. Metalcore is amazing. So.
Yeah, this is a hard one for me. Well, I originally I started playing bass because I was into like classic 80s metal. So like that was like Iron Maiden, Metallica, Megadeth, like those were Black Sabbath was like a huge influence for me. So very oldies stuff. And when I first started getting into metalcore, I was more actually really into like Periphery, like bands like Periphery, specifically. And I think that was like my gateway band to actually like listening to metalcore. But also like in regards to metalcore, one of my favorites is Silent Planet, definitely.
Oh, they're great.
And they were like one of the first like bands that I was like, oh my God, like they just do so many amazing things. And I just, they were one of the first for me. And I would also say Architects is another one as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, my music taste is kind of all over the place. So
yeah, which is totally fine. And I think like the 2020s, it's going to be like such a big decade for metalcore because next year is the 20-year anniversary of Alive or Just Breathing. This year is the anniversary of the Fall of Ideals. Last year was the 20-year anniversary of One Blood. So like this is like the next couple of years are going to be big metalcore years. So metalcore will forever rule. I'm just going to say that now.
I'm with you.
Yep. Now,
agreed.
Now, kind of going to the instrumental aspects of Spirit Breaker, because being that the music thrives both on very heavy and very melodic aspects, especially within the vocals, do you kind of almost have to adjust how you play your instrument depending on like the, for lack of better terms, like level of heaviness on the song in a way?
Hard to say. I don't know. Like, we've always kind of experimented with different types of songs. Some are more heavy, some aren't. A good example, a lot of the ones that we haven't released yet are heavier in ways that, like, not in the sense of like it's just heavy because it's heavy. Trey lyrically went pretty dark on this album, our vocalist, and a lot of the songs that are like, I guess, slower paced are heavier in that regard. And we experimented with some different tunings. We have some in like an F sharp, which is different for us. So that was kind of a whole new approach. But in terms of like actually playing, we kind of, I don't know, it's hard to say. It's we have a system, and we just did a lot of experimenting, so we'll see.
Yeah. Do you think for bass playing as well? Because I've always wondered how metalcore bands don't have two bass players, being that bass has an emphasis on rhythm and melody, and being that you have to like, are you looking towards the melodic aspects to figure out how to play, or are you looking at more the rhythmic aspects to figure out how to play, or is there some miracle that you could do both with just 4 or 5 strings? I'm not sure which type of bass you use.
Yeah, this is a good question. I like personally, like this is a very personal experience. A lot of people probably don't have this experience, but for me, it's more getting down the rhythmic aspect of it. Um, and I haven't really like I realized like when I was learning this music, I wasn't using like my left hand as much as I'm usually used to, and so I've been kind of like going through the recordings and like listening to what the previous bassist Aaron has done in the recordings, and also seeing if I can kind of add like any of the guitar melodies going on as well to that. But mostly, yeah, it's mostly a rhythmic thing for me. And I play a 6 string bass, so like I'm really excited to like hopefully utilize the top string more.
Oh, that
It's like
high
a higher
C.
string. Yeah, yeah. And so I'm excited for that. But for now, yeah, I'm basically just getting my bearings in the rhythmic stuff for now.
Yeah, I saw a band one time with an 8 string bass, and I don't understand how he does not have arthritis. So it's
Yeah, my hand stretch is like around the neck is like a lot more than I was used to when I first got it, and now it feels comfortable now, but it took me a while.
yeah. At what point, like I've been seeing so many guitars that have like 27 strings on it. Like at what point does it just become a harp? You know?
Sooner or later.
Yeah. I mean, I was at Nam and I saw like what a Jared Dines was using with that like 36 string guitar. Like I would just take the strings off and use it as like an ironing board at that point.
That's so nuts.
Yeah.
Literally, oh my god.
Now, with the first 3 singles, because this album is coming out next week, so without spoiling too much, but do you feel that the first 3 singles that you released off of Cura Nata maybe serve as a good representation of what all the songs are going to sound like, or is that just the tip of the iceberg?
Mm, it's I gotta be honest, the up until the Mountain Between Us, which just came out today, I think the first two are kind of more what Spirit Breaker kind of has been, so to speak. So like Hello Drifter was a single that's on here too. So I think it's a good representation of like the direction we're going, but it definitely doesn't show the full picture. Like I said, there's songs that we have on there. They're not released. They're on 7 strings in F sharp, which is new for us. Usually we're on 6 strings in G sharp, like a Architect's style tuning. I mean, lyrically, the theme you can definitely identify it in the singles that are out there, but in terms of like musically, I think it's definitely tip of the iceberg, like you had said.
Yeah.
A little bit more to dig into for sure.
Yeah. And, with this full lineup now, could this maybe serve as like the direction that Spirit Breaker wants to go into for the future? Or, with you two coming into the mix, maybe the Spirit Breaker could experiment even further?
Definitely more experimentation. That was their plan prior to me joining and Hannah as well. We're always looking to try new ideas, but I think being that we have, a 5-member creative outlet now, there's just more potential for new things to fit in and find a place with a whole nother, member, an extra set of hands actually laying stuff down.
Hell yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, the final question I want to ask you is that the band is currently based out of Michigan, right?
Yeah, that's correct. We are all in Michigan, the Metro Detroit area, kind of all around. Some further west, some further north, things like that. But yeah, we're all in the greater Detroit area.
Okay, so I kind of want you both to elaborate on this because, being the home of Black Dahlia Murder, Walls of Jericho, I mean, those are just the 2 bands I could think of off the top of my head, but it seems like Michigan has just a phenomenal music scene in general for metal, for hardcore, for any style. So for Spirit Breaker, is there a current like scene that you guys are like associated with, or is the goal for Spirit Breaker right now to kind of get outside your state lines a little bit more?
We are definitely looking to be more regional. However, in Michigan, there is some local, some more local Detroit bands, especially big ones that have been supportive lately and that at least I want to play a show with. Plainview, they're great. They're more alternative. Think like 2010s emo. Used, things like that. Seosin, good stuff. Love those boys. On the heavier side, Visceral Autopsy. They're one of the heavier guys that like us around here, but more, I guess, who we're more tightly, you know, meshed with lately these last few years is the boys on the other side of the state in Grand Rapids, Hollow Front, Sleepwaker, who, you know, they're signed, they're doing their whole thing now too. But the main goal is to, you know, actually get more regional, uh, just more regional exposure, fans. You know, we want to reach out to other bands in, you know, Chicago, East Coast, kind of, you know, want to venture, branch out a little bit.
Yeah, you guys would do well here in New York City. I could tell you that much.
Good to hear. We haven't gone that way yet, so I'm excited.
Yeah. Can we be expecting some tours coming soon? If, you know, knocking on all the freaking wood in the world right now, but with shows slowly starting to come back, maybe could we see a possible Spirit Breaker tour in the foreseeable future?
I can definitely say 2021 is pretty much in the books. Not because we don't want to, but because every band that already had stuff in 2020 kind of just got first dibs. So, rightfully so. So we're definitely looking into 2022.
Did I just hear a cat somewhere?
You did. My cat's running around.
Oh man, I love that. Those are my favorite types of interviews. I was doing an interview with like one of the most brutal death metal bands, and there was just like a cute little cat like photobombing the whole thing.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
She might. She's coming up. We'll see.
Yeah. All right.
Is it Mittens?
Oh yeah.
Yep. The only cat we have in New York City are bodega cats, and they eat your shoelaces and kick you out if you don't buy something. But
oh my god.
Yep. But before we go, is there just anything else that any of you would like to promote for Spirit Breaker in terms of you know, you mentioned the live shows, but anything to help with the release of the new album Cura Nata?
Yeah, it does come out August 13th through Solid State Records. They've been great to us. They're gonna, you know, push it out to pretty much anywhere they do any other Solid State releases. You know, it's on all the streaming platforms. For some reason, it seems like Apple Music's always a little late to the party when they push stuff out for us. I don't know if that's another issue.
Fashionably late.
Like the Mount Venus is, I think we're still working on getting that on Apple Music now, even though the song's out. But
it is on there now, just so you know.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Finally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Finally. Yeah. No. It's you know, next week we're really excited. We do have, you know, some other things to support the album coming after the release. It's just we kind of do, you know, one project a week at a time instead of just cramming everything to everybody at once. So you'll be seeing more, you know, more content soon. I don't know. I don't want to say too much, but, you know, music videos, things like that will be supporting it after the release.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, keep your eyes peeled.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
But thank you all so much, everybody. We are here with Spirit Breaker. Be sure to check out Cura Nata, coming out via Solid State Records August 13th. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.